Greetings everyone, my name is Roumaissa Ferkhi and I am a PhD student at the University of Brothers Mentouri-Constantine I in the field of Sciences of Language, and today I am very pleased to present to you my communication entitled The Impacts of Social Media Language on the Identity Dynamic of the Algerian Youngsters. So this is the table of contents and I'm gonna go straight away to the introduction. Social media has taken a big part of the Algerian youth's daily routine since the immersion of COVID and the implementation of a quarantine. Unfortunately, being closed off home all day did not only result in the spread of anxiety and depression among teenagers, but it also completely shifted their identity dynamics and changed the way they interact online and converse in real life. Having troubles to communicate with their peers, young people in this era are hungry for attention and switched their energy towards social media interconnections, which made an impact on the way they speak and how they efficiently exchange information and perceive the world around them. The first element is social media language and language usage in social media. In a world full of countries, languages, and cultures, it is inevitable that there will always be barriers when it comes to communications. Yet, the rise of social media and technology did not only make it possible to interact with people across the globe, but it also showed them the need to have a lingua franca of their own to escape the challenging situations and overcome the major hurdles they were facing, and that was obviously English. However, the constant evolution of the social media languages when it comes to their acronyms, abbreviations, or even streaming lives and disappearing stories, it is a bit difficult to keep up with the constantly evolving trends without sensing any peer pressure or facing any social anxiety exposure. With all of that being said, we have to emphasize on the fact that the term of social media is only an umbrella term for internet-based sites and services dedicated to promote social interaction between individuals that use them as a significant part of their interpersonal communication. However, these platforms have become a global melting pot of languages and dialects used in different manners and for different purposes, as pointed out by the researcher Joan Daniel Gemma, which states also that this phenomenon has resulted in the creation of alternate dialects that favors real-time communications, as we see it in gaming. Furthermore, language changes include modifications to its vocabulary, orthograph, grammar, pragmatics, and style, and that is exactly what we are witnessing with the rise in consumption of TikTok and the use of its acronyms, hashtags, and expressions through comments on this platform or in classrooms between pupils. For example, you can hear nowadays young Algerians, especially the English-speaking community, using LOL or LOL in the streets while simply walking. The second element is social media sites and identity crisis. Let me start with the following. Baroness Greenfield, a professor of pharmacology at Oxford University, states that social media, Facebook and Twitter in particularly, have created a generation obsessed with themselves. He then proceeds to stating that they have short attention spans and childlike desires for constant feedback on their lives. Other researchers and scientists do agree with him, obviously, and numerous studies have been conducted about the bad influence of social media. Yet the crisis that teenagers face nowadays is different, because quarantine deprived them from having a normal routine or even going to school and socialize for months, which made some depressed, others friendless, fail exams, dealing with anger issues, bottled up emotions over the loss of loved ones, and having nowhere to go to let it all out. Thus, social media apps became the new resort to let out one's frustrations with what's going on with the world and express his existential crisis while trying to understand the purpose of all this suffering. For example, this might seem a little bit crazy, but even like therapy became a thing among these increasingly conscious young adults. You could now go online and vent to a stranger without being judged because you are never going to see them in real life. The 5 pillars of identity. The identity of an individual isn't only shaped and based upon his background. In fact, the German psychologist Hilarion Petzold has developed an interesting model called the 5 pillars of identity. The model is illustrated as a roof which stands on 5 pillars that stand for the body, the social environment, the job, the material stability or safety, and finally the values. So a person's identity or society's uniformity is in fact dependent on the social environment factor, and with this latter being replaced by the online community, it holds the same impact on identity. The following element is the impact of social media language on the identity of Algerian youngsters. It is indisputably that language and culture hold a relation, and the identity of an individual is without doubt shaped by his interaction and social interconnection. The following are the ways in which we believe that the modern social media language has in fact affected the Algerian youth's way of communication. Teenagers nowadays use funny phrases, dark humor comments, and memes as a coping mechanism when posting and DMing on Facebook, for example. Also, the use of foreign languages has increased when they talk about taboos, mental health, toxicity, and express their love, which means they are implementing foreign languages in order to freely express themselves and overcome certain barriers. Thus, they are being flexible in certain areas. In addition to this, copying viral videos, sentences, and influencers' favorite expressions and using them as a reply is the new trend among teenagers. All of this just to say that sometimes the identity of an individual is slowly affected by the tendencies of the language he chooses to express himself with. It is said that we possess different identities for each language we speak, and being part of a plurilingual country, the youth are prone to have multiple personalities, and I do not mean here the disorder, but merely stated that they have a beautiful, complex identity. So, for conclusion, the identity of the young Algerian teenagers might be subjected to a lot of external factors when it comes to reshaping their dialect, but it remains that generation's way of speaking is in constant evolution, and it is undeniable that the future of a nation is within the hands of its youngsters. Nevertheless, are these young people conscious of the changes they are implementing by simply creating a new expression or acronym following a trend or memes online? Not really, because most of them are simply having fun and using apps as a means of distraction in times of crisis like this pandemic. The middle schoolers approached about this problem denied their knowledge of their impacts as a generation on the matter, yet the third-year university students of the Department of the French Language at the University of Brothers Mentouri did acknowledge this phenomenon. We encourage further researchers to focus upon this matter because little changes of everyday expressions are the key elements in the reshaping of this country's dialect and the mutations that affect its inhabitants. These are the references, and thank you for your attention. This is my email for any feedback. Thank you so much.